Soundstripe. 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 Soundstripe.
Hello and welcome. Sorry for the delay. this evening. Had some issues that we'll get into a little bit later. But this is episode 2 of season 3 of the Hollard podcast. And we are joined by none other than our normal guest of Richard and Carl. I am Stephen Borbell, driver of the number 2 Ford Mustang for Next Level Motorsports. But we are also joined by a special guest, the number 51, Zachary King. He might have done something big this past Tuesday. Zach, thanks for being here and getting some time and joining us this week. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you guys.
Of course. And Carl and Richard, how are y'all doing this evening?
Hey, I'm doing all right. It's Thursday night. We're chilling after a disastrous race. Richard, how about yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing all right as well. The race definitely Tuesday could have went a lot better, but it is what it is. That's super speedway racing for you, and we will definitely be talking about that later. But yeah, I guess Zachary King kind of did something special on Tuesday, but we'll just glaze over it real fast.
Yeah,
I think there's one person that was happy about how last week went, and he is right there.
Very true. To be fair, I think there's a handful of guys that are okay with how it ended up. Didn't see any big things going on, but definitely Zach is probably number 1 happy boy of the week for the BRB Racing League. But before we get into tonight, obviously want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Butt Kicker, the leader in haptics, Sundance Pizza, the best pizza on the west side of Mississippi. I know that's not their official slogan, but hopefully one day they're going to be listening to me and they're gonna get that as their slogan. But ideally, Ascendance Trucks, RevSimShop.com, and Advanced GG Supplements. Regarding Advanced GG Supplements, if you would like to support the league, 10% off promo code with promo code WolfXLive. Any proceeds from the transaction go directly back into funding the BRB Racing League and the Butt Kicker Cup Series.
WolfXLive 10.
Thank you, WolfXLive 10. I have it written down. I just don't know how to read. But what else is new? We knew that going into tonight, so...
That's the reason why we started the podcast at 9:35 and not 9.
Again, we'll get into it a little bit later. But for the latest news on the BRB Racing League, be sure to like our social pages on Facebook, X, and TikTok. And if you're interested in joining the BRB Racing League, please visit our Facebook page, and the link to our Discord channel is in the bio. Currently, our driver roster is full, but you are able to join the wait list. And yes, Salad Hat for the win. Got the different salad hat on this week for good measure.
I get it now.
Yeah. It's funny. I was at dinner last night with an elder from my church, and he's like, "What is the salad hat?" And I was like, "Why is everyone like it doesn't even read salad? It's upside down regardless." But again, that's neither here nor there.
Salad. Before
we get into anything from last week,
I thought someone was talking about salad fingers when they were asking, I was like, what?
You are the Gen Z of the millennial generation.
Knowledge there. Jeez.
Richard was around at the birth of YouTube.
Oh, man.
Yes. Yes, I was. So was Carl, though.
Wow.
Yeah, dude, my brother, the way he would memorize things off of there was just insane.
But
anyway,
before we get into the race that we had this past Tuesday, we're going to do our Rev Sim Shop random trivia question, question 1 of the evening. Just a quick refresher that there will be a total of 3 questions asked each podcast. Every right answer in the chat, you get 1 point for, and it's going to be tallied all season, with whoever leads at the end of the season is going to get a reward. I can't say what that reward is. I don't want to spoil it. Maybe if we get closer to the end of the season, I'll actually say what it is and give you incentive. But for now, it's just an award, and you're going to want to win it is all I'm going to say again. But
Steven, I feel like me and Carl should know what it is so we can help hype this up.
Oh, yeah. I'll let y'all know after this. Rev is the only one who knows it, to be fair. But you will have 30 seconds after the question is read on my go to answer it within the chat. If you don't get it within those 30 seconds, it does not count. So be ready when we get here. Gotta switch over. And look at that. I already had it ready to go and all. It was perfect.
That.
It was perfect. But
Steven actually doing things right this time.
That's
This
first.
transition.
That's a first.
That is a first. I told you I had everything set up for me to get home tonight. But without further ado, I'm going to read off our first question of the evening. So our first question is, who is the youngest driver to win a Cup Series race in NASCAR? And your 30 seconds starts now.
I feel like I know this answer,
Mm-hmm.
but
I
I
think it's
don't
obvious
think
not.
it's the person people would think it is.
Fair. And right now, we don't have any answers that I see in chat with 15 seconds left on the clock.
Oh, we got one.
I guess
There's
my
two.
chat's a little behind. There it is.
Zachary King is not an option.
Nope. Zachary King is not an option.
Thank you, Zach Maddox.
Go
This
5
guy
more
all froggy
seconds.
because he's a pilot now. This
5,
guy.
4,
Oh,
3, 2, 1. All right, so we got Trevor Bain and Joey. Oh, and Trevor. I'm so glad I stumped y'all for once. So the correct answer is
it
Joey
oh, it's
Logano.
Joey Logano. I thought it was going to be Kyle Busch, honestly. I knew it
No,
wasn't
it was
Trevor
Joey
Bain.
Logano.
I knew it wasn't Trevor Bain.
20 years old. That just seems like I feel like we've had younger winners
Well,
recently. than 20
actually,
years old.
only the youngest by honestly
It's
a few days, I think.
yeah, it's not by much at
Really?
all. The reason I picked this question is just because Joey Logano won the championship last week, so it just felt like it tied in a little bit. But yeah, it was definitely a tricky one. I would have not guessed Joey Logano going into it. But
Yeah, out of those three, I would have guessed Kyle Busch. I knew Trevor
Agreed.
Bain was not the answer.
no, but he was really close as well. Like they were all
Yeah.
within like a year. But
Yeah, Trevor Bain is definitely a good one to pick there because of his win at Daytona. But yeah, that definitely could have stumped a lot of people there.
Joey win that though.
that is true. I can't find my mouse. There it is. And back to
Ooh.
us.
Steven, hold on. How old
Yes.
was he?
I
That-
mean I don't have the answer. Excuse me.
Also, I've got the timer ready for the next question, so that was
Thank
my bad.
you.
I dropped the ball on that. Oh, God.
Joey Logano was. That's nationwide. I don't want to see that.
Is on your side. No? Okay.
No,
I hate all of you.
they're not not a sponsor.
This
19 years and 35 days.
Carl's hat gave it away.
well, it's funny because I was literally pulling it up about to say it when Steven got it there. So
So a
I'm on
month
you
after
next.
his 19th birthday, he's basically Gavin's age, if I'm not. I mean, close enough.
Wait, Zachary, how old are you?
I'm 19.
There you go, and you won your
see?
first race. That's even more
See?
fitting.
It is
You're 18
it is
years
fitting.
old.
It is fitting that Gavin Rogers Jr. won his first race.
Kevin Rogers.
I'm not a ginger though, so it doesn't matter. It's not the same.
That's why you're junior.
That's true.
You know, the siblings don't all have to be the same hair color.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
It's
goodness.
Florida Man Rogers right there.
Florida Man Rogers. That's a new nickname. I'm gonna change your name in the Discord to that.
Ah, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
There we go.
But
Oh,
oh
Gabino
this
is going
is awesome.
to love that.
goodness. But
Oh,
with
we
that, we'll have two more
unhinged
questions
tonight.
coming later this evening, but we can get right into last week's race. So last week we kicked off season 3. Thankfully it's here. We're back as a group. The core group and the new guys all got together, and we had 44 cars in attendance for the Roosters Market 250 at Atlanta, 165 laps at Atlanta. I'm going to pull up the results here real quick. Just got to get rid of some things. Which one is it, though? Not that one.
What is going on?
I don't have things labeled correctly, obviously. There it is.
Oh, my Lanta.
Bada bing, bada boom. So, yes, this past week, 165 laps at Atlanta. We have our winner with us, Zachary King. Congratulations, Zach, on your first win in the BRB Racing League Butt Kicker Cup Series.
Hear the applause.
Yes, I wish I had the applause ready to go, but congratulations there.
Thank you.
It's a very difficult thing to do at the end of the day. I mean, there's someone on this podcast that still hasn't won a race, unfortunately. I'm not trying to call you out or anything, Carl.
Ouch. Oh, that was
Subtle
brutal.
stab. That's a subtle stab.
That's harsh.
But no, it really is awesome to see, and it was a good race. But Zach, take us through your race from beginning to end real quick, ups and downs, and how you got to the front at the end.
So yeah, me and my teammate Josh, we were in the call together, and we decided we were going to have one start in the front, one start in the back, and I was like, I'm choosing the back, so we could qualify up front. So I was in the back, and then we get ready to go green. We go green for not even 2 seconds, and there's a wreck. And pre-race, I was messing with my brakes to like try to have optimal braking for pit road, because it's not as big as you think it is, but it's pretty big. And I set my brakes too hard, so I was on the full brakes, and I think it was Richard or Carl. It was Carl in front of me, spinning on the first lap. Not even. I think I just crossed the line, and I was locking up, and the car was not stopping. And I was like, I need you to stop. Please stop. Please stop. Plowed him. 30 seconds of damage. I was like, bro, let's not start this way. Please. We cannot do this again. Like, I was like, it's going to be the same thing as last season. I'm going to keep wrecking everybody, and it's just going to be a complete and total poop show. And I was like, nope. So I came down, fixed the damage, and then I was like, I'm just riding around. So I rode around for a lot of the race. And then it was, I think we had a caution. We had a lot of cautions, but I think it was the one around like lap 25 or 30. And everybody stayed out. And I was like, we got 50 laps of fuel. We only got to go like 10 more in this stage. We'll get more cautions. We'll get cautions in the next stage. Let's pit now. So I pitted early, and that really helped me with when everybody else came down at the end of the stage, because they were all going for stage points. I'm not going for stage points. I'm more just trying to, it's either I'm winning or I'm wrecking, and I'm getting a meatball. So that's what the name of my team is.
That sounds like Kyle Larson.
Checkers are records. Meatballs are records. Checkers are meatballs. So I pitted, and then that got me up to the front, and I was able to hang around with you guys for a little bit. I ended up on the next restart missing a shift. I shifted up to third and then dropped it back down to second because I shifted early. And it just threw me all the way to the back, and I was like, all right, I'm going to the back again. And then a couple more cautions came around, then it happened again for the next cycle of pit stops, and I was like, same thing, let's do it again. So I think it was like lap 70. I pitted again, came back down, and I jumped back to the front at the end of the stage. And then I was just up front for the rest of the race and really had no issues. And then the move on lap 158 was definitely really scary. I was not ready for the run to be made, but me and Matt hooked up earlier on, and we were flying. Gavin was helping me out all night. Big shout out to him. I wasn't able to tell him, but if he wasn't there, I wasn't gonna win. And then me and Matt got hooked up, and I made the move 3 wide, split it middle, made a little contact with Johnny, and was off to the races with that one and got the win, which was pretty cool. I was pretty excited, almost cried, but it was pretty cool.
No, it was definitely awesome to see. I think most people can agree, if they can't win the race, to see someone that like you, and we've seen you grow with this league over the past couple seasons, and seeing you grow to what you are now and get that win. It's honestly a good feel-good story for, I think, a majority of us, our core members, and it put a smile on a couple of our faces, even though some of us maybe didn't have the best night.
What's wrong, Carl?
Carl might have not been smiling because of his night from hell, but at the end of the day, it was awesome to see. And yeah, Gavin was, I was working with Gavin all night, and I saw him pushing you all the way up to the front in that last little run there. And something turned in him with 10 to go. He's like, we don't have time, Steven. We don't have time. And he like jumps to the outside. He gets behind you, Zach. And then he is on your bumper for like 5 laps straight, not letting off or anything. And he's like, I'm getting to the front. I don't care. And we're getting ready for that last restart, the natural green-white checkered, if you will. And Gavin's like, I hate to say it, but it kind of feels like the Harrison Burton, Kyle Busch situation. And I'm Kyle Busch, and Zach is going to be Harrison Burton here. And it kind of turned out that way, so Gavin called it there. But yeah, no, it was a fun race, and definitely good to see you win.
Yeah, it was definitely a really good feel-good moment also. Like, you know, you coming in with season 1 with us, you struggling also through season 1 and season 2 with your connection issues, to finally see you, I mean, to be God honest truth, like to finally see you be able to stay connected the whole race, with the exception of like everybody's issue that pretty much were having connection issues just because of like the amount of cars on the track. But to see you be able to stay connected the entire race and put on such a great show that you were, to be able to get to the front and stay there, make the aggressive moves cleanly at that. I mean, getting into someone's door a little bit, that's just stock car racing. You know, you didn't turn anybody to do it. You did it fairly clean. So, I mean, yeah, someone like Carl, who's just kind of like, doggone it, seriously, King gets one before me. Like, you have that. But, I mean, overall, it's great to see one of our original members getting their first win in a first league win at that. Because, I mean, we see you putting in the work even in officials. You just get excited every time you get a win in officials, and you like sharing it. So, to be able to see you finally be up there with the big dogs up front and making that pass for the win, getting the shove, and pulling off the Harrison Burton of the BRB Racing League. It was great to see, man. And just congratulations on your first win. It was awesome.
Thank you.
No, definitely though. It was I'm glad we didn't do this show yesterday because I was a little bit salty. I'm not gonna lie, but it was just you know, we get passionate, we get competitive, and you're just like, man, you know, you practiced so long, but that's kind of what this league is about. It's, you know, this whole mix of talent, this whole mix of personalities and characters, and after a while, you just get okay, you know, it happened. We have next week. We're going to Phoenix next week, and Zach, it's just really funny, and I think you and I were talking before the show started. Even last week, we were talking about the top 4 teams of, you know, Maverick, Limitless, Next Level, maybe Racers for Christ with all those guys in there. And then here you come in like a wrecking ball at Atlanta and just come out and not wrecking ball, literally, just, you know, breaking through the ice of the season. Let me clear up the metaphor. But breaking the ice of the season, starting us off with the win at Atlanta. It just, I think, kind of what this league embodies, and it's good to see. And after a couple of steps back and, you know, what we're trying to build here, you starting us off like that kind of really helps what we're going for. So it's really good and refreshing to see your first win here, kicking us off in season 3.
Yeah, I don't have anywhere to transition to there, but I did see. I scrolled back up in the chat and I saw Zachary Maddox. I want to give him a shout out. I owe him one. I messaged him right after the race. There was an incident in the last lap where I got shoved below the white line going into one, and he graciously let me back up and into position, so I had to shout him out real quick. But I did want to go over real quick. I feel like there's a tendency for people to, a stigma maybe even around super speedway style racing of it's just luck, it's just random, anyone can win. I don't think that's true. And I think this race kind of proved it in a way. Yes, Zach, you got your first win. People can say it's lucky. People can say it's random. However, I've seen you battle and be competitive in the super speedway races specifically. Another person that finished up there, and he led, I think, the most laps of the race, Isaiah Sutherland. He was up there all race and battling. He is a great he's a great driver in general, but he's another great super speedway racer. Zachary Maddox is very good. I saw Richard at times before he wasn't wrecking himself or his teammate.
Hey, come on now.
But
did you guys implode again?
Not as major,
Not
as
terribly.
Major.
It was.
Oh, no.
We'll get into it.
But I think there is some randomness that gets involved, obviously, with incidents. Like, you can't prevent everything, but at the end of the day, the cream rises to the top, whatever the saying is. And I think this race embodied that. Atlanta is a little bit different because it is very close quarters and the drafting style is completely different. But no, overall it's a great race. Just want to go over a couple things. Sorry if you hear my dogs barking in the background. They had a long
got more
night.
dogs?
More dogs. Honestly, too many. They keep ringing the freaking doorbell.
That's why he was late, guys. He
Oh, he had to go save more. Are you gonna
Yes.
get more? Or?
Oh,
Yeah.
we'll get into that. But
oh no.
the race, 165 laps. It was a relatively long race at 2 hours and 19 minutes, but it was long because of 19 cautions. Kind of expected in a way when we have 15 plus guys that we haven't raced with before at a track where it's very hard to maneuver around each other and give each other space. So not our best showing in terms of cautions, but 27 lead changes and 16 different drivers led a lap, which really diversified that extra bonus point for leading a lap there. But anything else y'all want to give a shout out to before we get into the meatball of the week?
Ooh. Yeah, I want to shout out to my sponsors, if
Yeah.
y'all don't mind. Gilbert Fleet and Commercial, K1 Speed, the General Insurance Company, Blue Jay Creative Studio. They've been with me all the way since day one, so I gotta shout them out. I wasn't able to do it on the interview because I was too many things to go through my head.
It's hard to get all those words in the interview out because at the time, especially if you're the one who won, you're going through so many emotions. But no, that's awesome. But without further ado, we can get into our meatball of the week. And Zach, since you are our guest this week, and you are the owner-driver of Meatball Motorsports themselves, I'm going to let you go with your meatball of the week first.
You know, I gotta go with Patrick Hernandez with what he did at the end of stage 2. I think it was end of stage 2 or end of stage 1. I think it was end of stage 2 because we had the caution issue. Just right hook. Like, he tries to save the car, but then kills everybody up top. And, yeah, that's definition of meatball right there. I think that took him out of the race, too, or something like that.
There was a couple things, I think, that ended up taking him out of the race, unfortunately, prematurely. I don't know exactly how many laps he finished, but it wasn't all that many.
Oh, he completed 41 laps, finishing in 44th, minus 124 laps down. His fastest lap was lap 9 at a 29.869.
So
there
stage
you
1.
go.
I think that sums up Patrick's night,
finishing 44th.
unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunate.
Yeah.
But Carl, who are you looking at your first meatball of the week for the season?
Oh, man. So Sam's coming out on chat. Honestly, I got to agree, but someone else is going to take the cake there. Because, yes, we really had some really weird netcode server issues Tuesday night. It was just a weird night all around. Obviously, with a lap 1 caution, lap 0 caution, technically, kind of set the tone for the race. I think my meatball of the week actually goes to Richard Wolsifer here, raking like 2-3 cars on pit entry, and rear-ending Sam Dyer, and I think Adam got caught in that too. So I think Richard Wolsifer gets my first meatball of the week this year.
Hold on, what? I didn't wreck anybody on pit entry.
Didn't you rear end
Sam, who then
that
turned
wasn't on
into
pit
Adam.
entry. Yeah,
It was
just
a
me,
caution.
Sam, and Adam that got involved. Yeah, there's just a caution.
Oh well. Still,
As a matter of fact, the caution was already out.
It was.
So yeah, still under yellow, you still find a way of breaking 2-3 other cars. So yeah, you get my meatball of the week.
Adam was just involved in a bunch of that all night.
Jesus, Carl.
Sorry, I was focused on this. All right. I've been
Richard,
working on this.
who do you have for your meatball?
Oh, jeez. That's a very, very good question. I'm gonna have to go with Patrick Hernandez also. It's just, I mean, I took it 3 wide, but it was still like a clean 3 wide moment. And it's just like, I don't know if he just wasn't paying attention to a spotter or what it was. He just came up and doored me, which kind of pushed me up into 13, but he also came off the wall and got down into me, which we would have been fine if Patrick didn't come up and that far up the track. And then him going down on the apron, and I mean, again, it was just an overcorrect, and the car just caught, and then just rocketed straight up into my quarter panel. And that was literally right after I just came out of the pits and took a fast repair. And it was it was not fun, because then it was like 30 seconds of required and then 4.5 minutes of optional. So I had to take quite a few cautions for me to get the repairs done. So yeah, I'd have to say Patrick Hernandez for that.
And Carl doesn't want, or not Carl, sorry, Brendan doesn't want double meatballs, but I am going to go with Patrick as well. Just because I really didn't see anything personally during the race that was egregious on my end, but I went back and watched the race and saw Patrick was involved in a flurry of incidents early on, and I really hope he doesn't pick off where he ended last season. It felt like every single race he came into of he would get in a wreck within the first, I don't know, 50 laps or so, and then unfortunately just be out. And the situation with you, Richard, definitely, that one for sure, I think was on him. And the other ones I don't know for sure, but that one was a little egregious in my book, considering all the other incidents that we had for the night. But Patrick Hernandez is my official meatball of the week. And I did have another one of part of the story that I was trying to tell y'all before we got live here. But Carl, I'll let you go.
No, I think it is crazy that, you know, we have practices. I know there's a practice open right now at Phoenix for next week. But it's kind of crazy how I think as the race last week progressed, you could tell who practiced Monday night and who didn't. Yeah, there was a couple of unlucky guys that got caught up in a lot of stuff, and you know, between the network connections and the net code and all that. But you could really tell who had a little bit of practice, who can kind of anticipate those moves and what was happening, who didn't. And that was, I think we compound on it, and this is the third season, and I think this is episode 100 of us talking about how important this practice is. But even just a little bit, if you can get just 20, 30 minutes of practice in, it can really mean the difference. And I think with such a large field, not a lot of people were truly anticipating what was going on, and so it's going to take a few weeks for us to get our feet under us, I feel.
I couldn't agree more. The practice races, especially at the minimum of Monday night, is a huge help, I think, to everyone involved, of just getting a feel for it. You can put in laps by yourself and try to be as fast as you can by yourself, but once you put around other drivers in a racing scenario, it changes it completely. Mm-hmm. But for my other meatball, it's technically two more meatballs, IRL meatballs.
Oh, boy.
So my wife is going to hate me sharing this, but I think it was this past weekend, or no, it must have been last Friday maybe. She got home from work, and I'm in our bathroom, washing my hands or whatever the case is. I'm in my bathroom. My bathroom is my bathroom is right on the other side of the garage. So like if you went through the garage, you'd be in my bathroom. And I hear the garage door open. She's coming home from work, and all of a sudden the house shakes. I was like, what is going on? I walk out in the garage, and I see her like backing up a little bit, and I'm like, you hit the house, didn't you? She drove straight into the wall in the garage and tried to defend herself and say, no, I didn't. But I'm sorry, baby, I love you. But that was funny, and I had to share that.
Love you, Addison.
Well, yes, love you dearly. But my other meatball is myself for this evening. This evening we attended it was a breast cancer fundraiser concert at a local college in town, in Johnson City. And I had never been to the area before. It's pitch black, and it's raining, and it's cold, is all I'm going to say. So it's in the 40s, and it's raining right now. It's dark everywhere. I pull into the parking lot of this community college and don't know where I'm trying to go. And I couldn't see anything for some reason. I don't know if my windows were foggy or whatever the case was, but I'm like trying to find the auditorium, and I popped a curb and drove off into like this field, just a grass field. I thought I was still in the parking lot, and I was like, I looked at my wife and I'm like, did I just do that? And I'm just sitting here by myself. I didn't think anyone was around. I'm like, oh, I got to get out of here. So I get out of the field, and I get back onto the parking lot, and I see an officer walking up to me, and he has his flashlight out, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get arrested. And he comes up to me, and I have the stupidest face. I'm so embarrassed because I know what I just did, and he looked at me like I was crazy. And that I'm really shocked. I didn't have to do a sobriety test. I didn't have to do anything. I had just told him why I was there, and he let me on his way. But he was giggling the whole time. So meatball to my wife and meatball to me for real life stuff. But yeah, no,
that's hilarious.
Quite possibly the most embarrassing personal driving experience that I've ever had. But I had to share it, and I have to keep myself humble and responsible for my mistakes.
That's funny. I think that's an EOL for next race. Rev, let's write it down.
Last time when he wrecked me at Martinsville.
You want to get into that? Oh, we can get into that.
Oh, I'd love to get into that.
Oh, here we go. Let's go.
I don't even want to get into it.
Me neither.
It's not worth it. It's past. It's past, and it's over. You're changed. You're a changed driver, and you have learned your lesson about wrecking me.
I tried wrecking the practice earlier on, so.
This past week?
Yeah, I think so. I thought it was you. I don't know if you were like intentional, but like you just like came down and like clipped me, and I was like, oh, okay.
I don't recall it. If I would own up to it if I recalled it, but we can go on to our standings this week. So our standings after week 1, obviously it's going to be pretty similar to the finishing position. However, the winner of the race is not your leader in points. Kind of like how you said earlier, Zach, you're not out there racing for stage points, but you got the win. So honestly, that's kind of more important than anything at the end of the day. But unfortunately, we do not have a win and you're in kind of system. So points racing is necessary to make the chase later this season. But Matthew Catania, I hope I'm pronouncing that.
Catania?
Catania?
Catania.
Is your points leader. Came in, he was dominant all season, or all race, all season. He was up there. He was in the top 4 as long as I could see, and being aggressive the whole night. But just to finish out our top 12 real quick, Matthew, Dustin Stallings, Isaiah Sutherland 3rd, Mason Hausman 4th, myself 5th, Zachary King 6th, Zachary Maddox 7th, Cody Dorsey 8th, Gavin Rogers 9th, Johnny Wood Jr., formerly known as Dumbo 10th, 11th, Richard Smith, and 12th, Jared Hughes. What?
Where did the Dumbo come from?
I mean, come on now. Do I have to spell it
Why
out
is
for
he
you?
Dumbo?
Okay, little knees.
People aren't reading chat. That's what's happening.
So
Oh.
at
still talking about the little
Darlington,
knees thing?
I think the little knees thing has to do with me shaving my knees a little bit just to keep them, like manicured and looking good. But this man, like Richard has said, has some pretty large ears. But we're gonna leave it at that. It's all friendly. But any shockers in our top 12 currently? Obviously, it's super early and we can't really get too much into it. The points are going to change completely in the next 12 races before the chase.
I don't know. It's the first race. You really can't say shockers at all. Because I mean, if you want to be honest, and it's no degrading mark to him at all, but Zachary King being up there in the the chase moment at the because of his win, that's probably the most shocking. I mean, there's a lot of names in there that we don't recognize. Like Cody Dorsey, somewhat new. We also have Matthew Catania, who's fairly new. Richard Smith is up there. I mean, he was close last season. I think he did miss a few races or whatnot, but he's up there in the top 12 as well. But everyone else, I mean, that's pretty much expected there in that top 12. So,
well, look who's out of it. Adam Buzzio, Richard yourself, Adam Patinko. I'm not even going to say where I finished, but look at all
Richard,
those
I saw
names
that
that
face.
you don't see. Yeah, let's look at all the names that we don't see right now on that list. I think that speaks louder volumes of our first race than who you do see.
And that's a really good point. And the inverse of that is a lot of the new guys that we didn't necessarily anticipate of how they'd run. If you're looking at Gray Walker, you're looking at Tony Patton, Coulter Clark, a bunch of names that we've never seen before. We don't know how they run, and they're right on the cusp right there. And we can see even more big names, if I can pull it up. The second half of the standings, some other big names. You have Jamie Plord, you have Nicholas Renner. Carl, yourself, sitting 32nd, not where you want to be. Dakota Camper, Matthew Erickson, and then Patrick Hernandez, unfortunately not on this list because he's sitting 44th currently in points. But again, like a bunch of big names that we've seen a lot from previously just unfortunately had a super speedway race stopping them at the beginning of the season. So not impossible to come back from this. Again, it's week 1. It was a super speedway race at Atlanta of all places. Once we get a few more weeks under our belt, the points will start shaping out to what we're more so expecting.
I don't know about that. Phoenix this week, Dover next week. This is I'm a little nervous actually with how Atlanta went as a super speedway type track. this is going to get really interesting really quick. I think the drama is going to start. No, I'm sorry. The drama has already started with how Atlanta went. I think we do get a drop week, so at least there's that in the pocket of some drivers. But going forward, I think the first 3 or 4 races of this season, we're going to see a huge shakeup in points every single week, and it's not, you're not going to want to miss it. It's going to be a little wild.
Yeah, I mean, with this many cars now in the league, it's going to be huge point swings. If you have a bad day, that's not good. Like, I mean,
Tell me about it.
40-point difference just by DNFing. And there's nothing you can do about that. Like, there's no making that up because, like, there's only 20 cars in the field. It's not that big a deal. Now stage points are nice, but they're not everything now. So
they're hard to get now.
And they're very hard to get. And, like I said, DNFs are going to hurt. They're really going to hurt, like Carl is experiencing.
So 56 points to Catania. I had 12. That is a 44-point swing right now in that favor. That I'm already feeling that. You know me. Everyone who's watched the show knows me. I'm a number guy, and I am already not liking the numbers. I really need a lucky race at Phoenix.
And you don't want to have a bad race early in the season where you basically throw away your drop race. Because those that don't know, we do have a drop race built into the standings within the regular season we have 13 regular season races, I think. One of them is an auto drop, so you're able to miss one without hurting you in the points is really what it's for. Or if you make every race, if you have a bad race, that one is basically forgotten. You're get out of jail free card if you may. But you don't want to burn that early on, and you definitely don't want to burn it in the first race for some of these guys that got a single digits of points even. It's really tough to crawl back out of that. On that note, I did want to give a shout out to my teammate Jared Hughes. He got in some incidents early on, had to burn his fast repair, and then had 5 minutes worth of damage at some point, got a lap down or so. And just the importance of finishing out these races, no matter the situation, of getting as many points as you can. He came back and, was he 12th or 13th in points?
He's actually 12th.
Yeah.
11th or 12th. He's in the chase at the moment.
So it's going to be a battle of attrition, of staying on and getting as many laps in as you can. There's going to be other people that have problems, and every position is a point above 40th. So get those points when you can. But we can get into our team standings actually real quick. I forgot I had that one up as well.
Oh yeah, y'all gonna like that.
I thought I had it. There it is. So our team standings, there's a 3-way tie with 3 teams at the top of Meatball Motorsports. Put them first just because they have a race winner. But Meatball Motorsports, Maverick Motorsports, and Next Level Motorsports are tied with 31 points. And how we do our team standings is it's the race points of each driver on a team, so not including stage points, not including any bonus points earned. It is literally just finishing position race points divided by the number of drivers that are participating in said event. And you have to have a minimum of 2 cars on track to qualify for points that race. So yes, 31 points average at the top. And then you have Full Send Racing with 23, Accelerate Racing with 21, Showtime Racing 20, Limitless Esports 19, Racers for Christ 17, CFM Esports 17, Freaky Fast Racing 16, and a tough start for Whiplash Racing, brought to you by the Pit Stop TV guys. we love y'all, but 3 points is unfortunate start to the season for team points, and it's going to be tough to crawl back from that even. But yeah, Limitless only having 19 points is a little bit of a shocker to me personally. But again, Carl kind of drug that down.
I do want to point this out. Okay. Every point does count, especially with these many drivers. I stayed out multiple laps down, and I still gained positions. We don't know if those 2 points will make a say in a driver's championship, a team championship. It will still count. So, it's not all over. First race of the season.
Oh, not at all. But it's far from over, and it's really important to get those points, because if you have 4 drivers on your team and you just get 4 positions better, technically that boosts your average as a team by 1 whole position in 1 point.
Exactly.
Just basic math, but yeah, it's really important to get as many positions as you can. But I think that is where we stand on team standings. Not much to go into there. Let me pull up my notes, see what else we got going on here. So we did that. All right, I guess we can get into next week's race. So unfortunately, next week we are not going to have a broadcast by Pit Stop TV. It's still up in the air of if there's going to be an alternate strategy there of maybe someone just streaming it at the end of the day or something. But we'll keep y'all updated. Unfortunately, Pit Stop TV had a prior engagement that they had to attend to, and we respect that. But we will have them the rest of the season after this next week. But this next week we are in Phoenix for the Sundance Pizza 175. 175 laps at Phoenix, and I believe, do y'all remember if it's a daytime race or if it's sunset?
It's an
daytime.
afternoon.
It's
Afternoon race.
All right, it's an afternoon race at Phoenix, 175 laps. Stages, I believe, off the top of my head, were 45.90 for stage 1 and 2. I'll get into what y'all expect for Phoenix, but this past week there was officials, and I ran a couple of officials at Phoenix, and I thought it would be a relatively clean race, but they were filled with cautions. I guess it has something to do with the different corners, one, and then the dog leg. Especially with the next gen car, it's very uneasy in that dog leg if you hit it incorrectly. It just bottoms out and turns. I think we saw that with Ty Gibbs actually this past week in the Cup race. Lap 2 just hit the dog leg wrong and it shot him right up the track. But I think we're going to see a lot of cautions again, unfortunately, for a relatively short, flat, slow-ish track that you don't see a lot of excitement in real racing. I think we're going to have a lot of unfortunate cautions.
You know, and that's the thing that people underestimate about the virtual side of these things is, yes, what you see on Sunday can translate. You can watch a little bit of film and kind of expect what they're doing. But at the same time, those guys are paid to do what they do. We just do it on a weekend. And it is, I definitely qualify Phoenix as, and you guys are going to hate this, as a Martinsville or Richmond. A one of those, it's one of those tracks where everyone's braking point is different, everyone's turning is different. You have the dog leg, so you can go 4 or 5 wide. We could barely go 3 wide last week, so this previous week, so there's that. So we could look forward to. It gets loose in some of the places of the track as well. And the dog leg, Steven, you mentioned, is a very treacherous situation. I have done races there where I've had a really solid race and I get too confident in the dog leg, spin it out, and it's over for me. It's crazy how much the dog leg is so sensitive to any kind of changes. If you hit it just a couple inches off, left or right, it's over for you. So Phoenix is a very tough track in my opinion. Not one of my favorites, not one of my best ones. So I have a lot to learn. I need to get practice in this week, so it's going to be tough. It's going to be very tough.
Yeah, I mean, Phoenix, it's definitely going to be a really tough race for a lot of drivers, especially those that haven't touched the track at all. And I know there's a few that have admitted they haven't. So practice, I can't stress that enough. Go practice. I mean, Tuesday night could have went a lot better, but Phoenix has just as much of a chance, if not even worse of a chance, to be more of a not good show, I guess you could say. Because that transition, I mean, I was talking to Robert Moyer yesterday, and Robert Moyer Jr., and he even said that, like, he struggles keeping that car not getting loose in that transition to the dog leg. So, and the dog leg isn't required. You're not required to run it. It is a choice. I mean, it is a, if you're not using it, you're losing a lot of spots on the restarts.
Shortcut.
That's, it is a legit legal shortcut. So, but yeah, it's definitely a rough, the dog leg is definitely really, really rough. Turn 2 really isn't too terribly bad. It's your general, I mean, 1, 2 is not too terribly bad. And then turn 3, I don't even know how the turns are numbered nowadays. Like, Phoenix is such a weird I don't like it. I miss old Phoenix, but
I see a lot of issues in turn 3, headed into like the turn that the start finish line is in, if you want to call it.
yeah.
Because there's a lot of different breaking points, and a lot of people try to dive into that corner and take it as flat as possible. So that's another place to watch for dive bombs. But they're literally anywhere on the track. I've seen tons of incidents happen in the past week or two there. I just hope the practice people get the practice and know what to expect. Again, Monday practice race. Get yourself around other cars and learn how other people drive. See where some breaking points can be, so you can just anticipate it. A little bit easier for Tuesday.
Zach, have you run Phoenix? Sorry, Steven.
No, you're fine.
I just want to.
I ran it a little bit in the trucks this last week because I'm more of a truck guy, but it's a little weird with all the lanes that you can use. The transition is very deadly, and then the merging back up from the transition is what's going to be a big issue, I feel like, for us, especially when we had it at Atlanta. We had the issues coming through the quad oval, and I feel like it's going to be like the same thing with the dog leg. We're going to have a little bit of issues with people merging. And I feel like that's going to be like one of the main points. So if you can just survive the dog leg, I feel like you should be good. But yes, these next-gen cars do break really loose, and I learned a lot of that the last 2 seasons in this league. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think Sam Dyer said something about in the hauler after our race on Tuesday about people trying to be optimistic about Phoenix, and he said something about last time we ran there, I think we only had 10 cars, and we had double-digit cautions, which is kind of pathetic if you really think about it. But long runs at Phoenix they're relatively common, I would say, and tires don't matter as much as they do at other tracks. Don't get me wrong, they fall off more than a super speedway, but I think on a long run you might only lose a second or a second and a half in the sim, that is, from my testing that I've done. Obviously it depends on the weather, but we'll see about that. If we have a bunch of cautions, then everyone's going to be on an equal playing field there, and those restarts are going to be hectic. But yeah.
Yeah, and I think self-spins are going to be the main cause of a lot of cautions, but the problem is with such a big field, a self-spin's going to involve 5+ cars, especially in that dog leg. I mean, there's a lot of room to dodge it, but I mean, you're also 7 cars wide, so that turns a lot of that room to dodge it into no room to dodge it. So it's going to be chaotic. It's definitely a track that can produce a lot of really fun racing. It really can. But it's whether or not drivers can keep it together and keep it straight, to be honest. So, I mean, I've lost it in the dog leg, numerous times as well. So it just takes practice. Just takes patience. So I'm hoping we have a really good race.
Same here, and it's the dog leg is also like it's basically the fastest part of the track right before you get into turn 2. So it's very hectic, and even though there is a lot of space, it just comes at you really quick. If someone just bottoms out and loses it, you don't know which way they're going to go. Sometimes it's going to shoot right up the track, sometimes it's going to shoot down below the track. So you really just got to be prepared for people losing it, and before you know it, you might not even know what's happening, and someone might clean you out. So just be prepared for that. But we're going to get into our winner predictions for Phoenix. Let me pull this up. So last week we all got it wrong. It's going to be very difficult to predict now with 40+ drivers. Some other tracks you might have some favorites, but nonetheless. Zach, who is your winner for Phoenix this coming week?
There's a few, but honestly, I think I gotta go with you, Steven. Honestly, I think you have a chance. I really do like. Hey, it could happen. Look at me. You got this.
It could happen. Well, I appreciate you saying that. I do surprisingly like Phoenix. I don't like flat tracks, but Phoenix is a little fun in a way. It's kind of like it's a driver's track in the sim, and it might not produce the best racing to watch, but it's technical and it's fun at the same time. I think last time we raced there as a league, I came second to Gavin, of course, but that's a win in my book. And Carl, who are you thinking?
You brought this up, and I went through my list of people that I thought could possibly win a track like Phoenix, and I think the one with the best shot would be the 24 of Isaiah Sutherland. He knows how to drive the flat tracks. He knows how to drive the dirt style. I think Richard will be close up there. Richard, no pressure, but I think you have a top 10 potential. But I think Isaiah overall can be very, very fast at Phoenix.
Yeah, he's shown a lot of speed, especially at short tracks and flat tracks. So that's a very solid pick. Richard, who are you thinking this week?
First of all, Carl, I know you're in Colorado, but you need to check what you're smoking sometimes, man.
By the FDA, all right.
Top 10, I'd be lucky to get top 10 at Phoenix, to be honest. But let's see, my pick, I'm going to have to, and I hate that I'm picking this. I really do. I mean, he's a good driver. I miss him in my team.
Oh.
Mason Hoffman. I think Mason's got it. He's, like I said, he's still really fast at a lot of these tracks like this. So as long as he doesn't step on his toes, say it in a way without saying
and
it.
Dustin and that whole Mavericks team has been practicing these last 2 nights. Let's also keep that in mind. They are serious about the season.
Also, Steven, we're not copping out and choosing Gavin, okay?
Oh, well,
Gavin
that's who I
is
was
not
about
a
to
You better
pick.
not. Don't do that.
You can't pick Gavin.
I mean, I can. He's my teammate. I mean, he's...
Wait, is he actually coming out to race this?
Yeah, he's racing.
It is
He's
the
racing.
Sundance Pizza 175, and he will be
Oh,
in attendance.
that's fair.
Um,
That is fair.
But for the good of the sport and the sportsmanship of the game, I will not pick Gavin. But off the record, Gavin is my pick.
He would have been my pick also.
Yeah, when it comes down to any track, he can win. But Phoenix even more so. He likes this track more than anyone else I know. So goodness. But I think I've got to go with Dustin Stallings for this week.
Odd pick.
Dustin, another one of those.
Sports love here.
Yeah. Last week we had the Limitless Love, and this week is the Maverick Love. I don't know if we're jinxing teams or if we're helping them. But no, Dustin's a great short track driver. I think I've said that last season at times. He's able to save his tires. It might not come into play as much here, but short flat tracks he seems to excel. And yeah, he has pace almost everywhere. So he's definitely going to be up there and hopefully get it done. So those are our predictions. Hopefully one of us can hit something this week and actually get something right for once and look like we actually know what we're talking about. But until
Come on. I think we've broken that illusion by now.
Yeah, obviously everyone's
What
watching
you're talking
this.
about?
Yeah.
No way. No way.
Have you watched?
Oh, we're
our
at
episodes?
18 viewers right now. We are popping off on YouTube right now. This is amazing.
Hey, see what
Yeah, that's
happens when you
great.
get a new winner?
I'm just saying.
New winner.
The best part of doing a
guy.
podcast with these two guys is we make it up as we go.
100%.
We don't know what the heck is happening.
We are not getting paid for our time or our effort. But
Yo,
no,
yell at Adam for that, bro.
it's not even an
Break the
Adam
numbers
thing. It's,
down.
at the end of the day, like I think our goal is we don't want to make money off of any of this. We do this for everyone to enjoy it. Like we did this because we enjoy it, and now that we have more people, we want them to enjoy it. So all the money goes back into the broadcasts and making the league what it is. So it's not a complaint, even though we complain about it. If anyone should get paid, it's Rev for what he had to deal with last week. But
Been saying that for a long time.
Okay, I will say, even though we're past it already, I'm gonna say my kind of like what Steven did with the unofficial meatball. Rev, you're getting my unofficial meatball, dude. I did not need that EOL. I did not cause that caution. That actually happened past me. I was in the wall letting everyone by. Nobody hit me, and then Carl was involved in that wreck in turn 3. And I got the EOL. I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
I felt like I was involved in about half of the stuff that happened last week. There was 19 cautions. I feel like I was involved in like 9 or 10 of them. I swear.
But yeah, no, we love Rev. Rev does a fantastic job, day in, day out with these races. So, and I know this is definitely a big hurdle for him, and we we understand the pain. You know, we go from 25 drivers to 44, so it's definitely not easy. I wouldn't want to be doing that job. But so we definitely appreciate what you do for us, Rev.
It's a very thankless job at times, and I forgot I made a checkout for him. I got to send it over to him into the Discord layer this evening. But Jared of trying to get everyone to like it. So yes, please like and share our podcast. Keep us growing and keep us financially able to keep putting this league together. Obviously, without our sponsors, we wouldn't be here. Sundance Pizza, the biggest at the end of the day. Sundance Pizza, owned by Gavin Rogers and family, are huge supporters of us, and we have to thank them every chance we get. A huge shout out to them, and obviously thank you all for being here with, like Carl was saying, 18. I think there's 17 now. People in here. That's awesome to see. I think when we started off in this podcast, we were getting 2 or 3 consistently. And in either way, I could care less. It could just be us 3 just talking to nobody. Just doing this for the drivers in the league is why we started the podcast anyways. It's awesome to see the growth of not only the league, but everything in the league and in the whole community. So love to see it healthy and love to see it continue to be healthy.
Yeah, we started this. It was a small idea. I think I kind of like threw that little sparkle into somebody's ear, and then I think Steven took away with it and kind of brought this into full fruition. And, you know, thanks, Steven, for doing this. This has been awesome to do. You know, originally we started it, again, like we said, we started this for you guys, the drivers of the league, for you guys to come and enjoy, talk about the race, you know, communicate with each other, and kind of enjoy like an after show after the race, kind of a calm down. We could talk about it, you know, see the predictions for next week, and give a little bit of NASCAR news or racing news at the end. And for me, honestly, like that's what it started out on. Now I don't even care if people come and watch. Like I really enjoy just sitting here and talking about the races with these 2 guys right here, and whoever our guest is, it just happens to be King this week. So, but we still love we still love doing it for you guys. I mean, as much as we love, me, Carl, and Steven love hanging out every Thursday night, our wives probably don't enjoy it, but they will when we have the Powder Puff takeover, though.
Yes, and more news will come out about that soon. I was actually thinking about that today. We'll run it by as a league and hopefully get that scheduled soon.
But yeah, no, I overall, I enjoy doing this every Thursday with these guys, and you know, being able to talk with you guys and talk about the race every week also. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, do what Jared's saying. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button also. Get more subscribers in here. Make sure the notification's on so you know when we go live, whether it's the Discord or on your phone. And yeah, share it out to your friends, your family, and have them come and join us.
You might think it's silly to share virtual racing and a podcast about virtual racing, but at the end of the day, we know we're not big time guys. We know we're not big time drivers. We're all doing this because we love doing it. So let's just have fun and fully embrace the full thing of it all. But without further ado, we can get back into our second question for the RevSimShop.com random trivia question of the evening. We had one person get the first question right. I thought it was a little easy. Maybe this one will be a little bit easier for some, but we will see.
Yeah.
And it's up on the screen already. Look at that. So I'm going to read it off, and you'll get 30 seconds after I'm done. So what year did the Ford Mustang first compete in the NASCAR Cup Series? And your 30 seconds begins now. Richard, you missed a lot last season. Are you sure you enjoy every Thursday?
You know what, Brendan? Again, like we said, Adam doesn't pay me enough to be here every Thursday. I trust me. It's not that I don't want to be here Thursdays. It's job, dude. My job sometimes calls me. That's it. Timer's up.
My timer's a little bit longer.
Oh, okay. I started it late.
Zachary Maddox 2016 is not an answer.
Ooh.
That was still the Fusion, I thought.
And time. So it looks like I stumped a lot of people again, but there's one consistent thing, that Eric Jensen is correct again, and your correct answer is 2019. I threw in the 70s just to completely throw you off the scent, because it was 2019 that they changed to the Mustang. So yeah. There we go.
Yeah, I can't even remember Mustang ever being in NASCAR until this dark horse.
And it was not.
Oh, not the dark horse, the newest one.
Well, yeah. Once they got to the Mustang in 2019, right before they switched over to the next gen. Yeah, I was surprised actually seeing that today. But
Called it.
Well, Eric Jensen 2 for 2 on the evening
No,
for the Rev Sim
not
Shop
only 2 for
trivia.
2, 5 for 5 on the season.
Is he
Ooh,
5 for
Eric
5?
Jensen,
Whoa,
5
he
for
is a
5
right
NASCAR
now.
Can we talk
guru.
about Carl's hat? He gave it away again.
2019.
Carl's
This
hat
is
is 2 points.
classic. Loving
Carl's
this
hat
right
is 2
now.
points. This is not scripted.
What
It made-
in the world?
Hey, you know what? This is all tribute to Martin Truex Jr.'s last full-time season. All right. Yes, they're trying to get him into the 500 next year, but sneaky.
Sorry, I'm just going through and updating the points real quick before we move on here.
Oh, hey, don't worry. It's not all going to be just NASCAR later in the this season. Also, we're going to throw some other racing trivia in there as well. I've got some coming up for the Rolex. I've got some questions I want to throw out there.
Richard, are you going?
I am going to the Rolex 24.
I'm definitely thinking about going. So.
Yeah, I'm going to the Rolex 24. I'm going to try to hit the Sebring 12-hour as well, but
That's
I'm
my
also probably
call,
gonna
bro.
I'm also probably gonna try to hit the Sebring Trans Am race SVRA weekend. So
Dude, that's where I'm from. I'm from Sebring, so that's my home stuff.
nice.
You know, Zach, you should hit up some of these endurance races in iRacing.
You know, I tried my hand in a few of them. I do enjoy them, but it's just so hard to find somebody to do it with because I just don't want to sit down for 6 hours by myself.
But I got
Hey,
Carl.
you started a meatball team. You just need to build that.
Not you, Steven. I said Carl.
I can high five you too, buddy.
Wrong way, Carl.
Hey, see, it's always
There you go.
reverse.
Don't worry, I'll
on
connect it for you
my
guys.
screen.
We got the connection.
But real quick, Brendan Maddox in chat. If Eric goes 10 for 10 on the first 10 questions of the trivia, he will get a free paint from Maddox Graphics. So throwing in some more wagers there, some more things to give Eric some pressure.
I gotta point out,
I am loving
Maddox
this.
have the best cars. I've been running them for a while now, and every paint scheme is just to a T perfect every time.
They definitely do a good job over there, and again, another sponsor of the league and a big help. So if you need a paint created, go check out Maddox Graphics.
Cheap and affordable too.
Cheap
Let me
and
point that out there. Cheap and affordable too.
And the next question
Amen.
is going to stump. It is going to be hard, is all I'm going to say. It's not easy. I
Oh,
think the
no.
other two were a little bit of softballs. This next one is honestly like you got a 33% chance of getting it right. But without further ado, let's move on to our Sundance Pizza sit down. And we have a special guest this week. Of like, if you've been here the whole time, Zachary King.
Almost a pizza now.
If it's pizza, you better get Sundance. Uber Eats it. It
I
might
wanna
be
tell
$600 to your house, but you know, it's worth
Might be
it.
just a little cold.
A little cold and expensive.
That's what air fryers are for, all right? Just reheat, just fine.
I still don't know how to work one of those things, so that's
Oh my.
Oh my
goodness.
God, the iPad generation right here doesn't know how to work an air fryer. Jesus.
Hold up. My wife didn't know how to use a microwave until she started dating me.
What?
What? That is insane.
Now I know
Bro,
why
I've
she
been in
started
the
dating
microwave
you.
since 9.
No, she's
Technology.
My wife started dating me and decided to marry me because I had power tools and health
And
insurance.
because you know how to use microwaves.
Apparently, just power in general.
In general.
Just kidding, Riley. We love you.
That she ain't watching. It's fine.
Oh boy.
Unreal.
Zach, I'm going to ask you a series of questions. You might already know all these questions and already have your answers ready to go, but nonetheless, I'm still going to do it. This is our Sundance Pizza sit-down segment where we get our guest, different guest each week. We try to have a different guest each week, and we get the drivers in the league to actually know more about who they're racing around as people, as opposed to just people that they don't like racing against for the most part. But to get us started, first, where are you from, and what's your day job? What does your day-to-day look like in the real world?
I was born in Hollywood, Florida, and then when I was about 6, I moved up to Lake Placid, Florida, which is about 2 hours south. It's right in the central Florida, little west of Okeechobee, a little bit south of Sebring. Small town, very, very small town. Grew up there, and then when I graduated high school, I told my family about 3 months before I graduated, I was like, I'm leaving y'all and I'm going back south. So graduated high school, got my diploma, and 5 days later, I was moving down back to South Florida, and now I live in Davie, Florida. I do construction work with my uncle, and then also am a track operator at K1 Speed. So some of these sponsors come hand in hand with that. Yeah.
Awesome. Good to hear. I've been to South Florida once, and I could never live there. The humidity hit me like a wall when I got out of the plane, and I don't know how you do it.
It's not that hard. It's just once you get used to it, you're used to it. But the summers suck. Like
I can
August,
imagine.
July, terrible.
Not to mention
I hate it.
hurricanes.
Oh, those are the best
hurricanes
parts.
are
We have the
fun.
best parties. We have the best parties.
Oh goodness.
That's what he
It
said.
sounds
No
like Texas and
problem.
Oklahoma when it
He
comes to
plays
like
a lot of
tornadoes.
video games for those parties.
I do not. I mostly sleep through a lot of them. Real here.
So my next question is, who is your favorite NASCAR driver and why?
Favorite NASCAR driver, Carl Edwards. Really. When I first started watching the sport, backflips. Hey man, that got me right there. And I always wanted to win that title. Also my first NASCAR video game was NASCAR: The Game Inside Line, and I wasn't a big fan of NASCAR, so all I remember watching was the cutscene of Carl Edwards winning the championship, and I was like, I'm rooting for that guy. And then come to find out he never won that championship, so I was like, oh, okay. And yeah, then it was all from there. Then 2016 was a very sad year. I was actually gonna be at the race, and then I ended up going up north to Orlando for the weekend, and I was like, okay, and I was watching it, and I was like, freak you, Joey Logano, you wrecked my guy. I was so mad at Joey Logano, but then when I saw Carl walk over, that was like, that takes a lot of manpower to just walk over to somebody's team and be like, hey, go get it. Like that changed me really. But yeah. But now it's Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and I know you guys.
Why Ricky?
Probably-
What?
You can probably tell with
Ricky
how I race
Stenhouse?
the speedways.
I mean, is that why it's Ricky now? Just because the
Yeah.
lineup?
He
there, I
lost
guess you
a
could say?
sponsor this week. Did you not hear?
Did he lose Kroger?
He
No.
lost Kroger officially.
Wow.
What?
That's
I wonder where they're going.
Oh, Josh Berry, here we go, buddy.
Nope. We'll get
No.
into
Sorry,
that
I didn't break
later.
that to you, but here we are.
I thought
It's
it was
okay.
already news or official.
I didn't know.
We still have Sunny D. I think.
Ooh.
I think.
No.
You know, he was supposed to go to the 4 when Harvick retired, but you know,
He's
stuff
just
is the fan.
not good enough.
Josh Berry's a way better pick.
No
yeah.
way. No way.
Oh no, 100%.
Give me
Josh
Harrison
Berry.
Burton.
Get out. Get out. There's a reason he's going back down to Xfinity, okay?
So how and when did you get into iRacing?
COVID. Really was COVID. I was playing on my sister's really old computer, and I couldn't even run an online race. That's how bad the stuff was. And then it was like, I think it was 2022, late 2022. I got a little money up, and I was like, you know what? Let me go get a PC. And went and got an $800 PC, and been running it ever since. I was very sporadic with when I started. Really, I started like a month or two before I joined the league, because I wanted to be able to start somewhere and be able to build my way up. And that's basically what I've been able to do so far, is start my way from the bottom. I had to work to even get into the league and be able to sign up for the league. And that was a big jump to learn how to drive around other people and not have issues. And then the next step was, all right, we're in the league. Now we just got to get set and do our thing. And had a lot of issues with lag, with wrecking people, with tempers. With
Zach,
with
you're
the
at
attitude.
400 blinks.
Okay, let's go. Honestly, I'm actually gonna say this right now. I called Rev down to my channel 4 times that race to check my pings. Every time he came down there, you're at 0 blinks, Zach. You're at 0 blinks. Swear. I think after the race I asked him, he was like, "Yep, you're at 0 blinks."
Oh
So
boy.
that's pretty cool. The power of
Just
Ethernet.
Right. So sorry, Steven, but Zach, I want to ask a question because we've mentioned a couple times that we've had a massive influx of new drivers. What were we, 15 new drivers?
At least. I think it's north.
Exactly, and there are a couple of drivers out there that are saying, "Hey, I am buying this track this week. I'm first time on this track." I know Zachary Maddox is one of those drivers that say, "Hey," he mentioned in the chat earlier on here on YouTube that he's like, "Hey, pretty much any track I go to is a new track, so I'm always learning." And you mentioned yourself, you're working your way up. This is your third season with the BRB Racing League. You actually, I remember with the first season, we had the minimum iRacing limit, and right before the season, you were grinding to get that up. You were grinding and grinding and grinding. You made that. Now you've won in the BRB Cup, BRB Butt Kicker Cup Racing League. How do you translate to these newer, these newer generation, essentially, the newer rookies into the league to say, hey, you can do it? What advice would you give those guys?
Honestly, it'd be seize your moment when you can, and then just learn. Watch our practices, do our practices, watch old races on other streaming platforms like Pit Stop TV always has leagues. Like, go watch them. Freaky Fast, I know we had them for a little bit, and then there was another one, I forgot what it was called. But go back and watch these
wish I
races,
did too.
look what other drivers are doing. And one thing I'm really starting to learn is going into practice, just logging in early. Get in the sim early and watch people put down their laps. Just watch their lines. Look at their miles per hour. I know you can't see their gas and their brake, but just watch their miles per hour and just try to match their miles per hour and figure out how to match it. That's really what I did and what I put my eyes to and started gravitating to. Hey, look at this guy. Look at Gavin. He's 3 seconds faster than me. Not really, but he's 3/10 of a lap faster than me every time. I'm going to get lapped if I don't learn what he's doing. And just watching how he makes the car work. It's not going to work your first try. It will never work your first try. If it does, congrats. Great job. But you just have to stay with it. I know I've been talking to Rev a little bit. Rev's been trying to get me into his little racing academy thing that I think he's starting up. And I'm going to do that. But it's just watching YouTube videos, watching other people. It's film. It's especially with me being a former athlete. I had to watch film every week. You have to watch film. You have to see what the other people are doing to get better. And that's just the thing. Just watch film. Watch what you can do. Change your ways. Learn things. Another good one to watch is, I think it's DJ Yee on YouTube.
Yeah,
He
great.
always does the setup for McConey. And I watched him. I try to watch him at least the Friday or the Saturday before we race. And it doesn't really help a lot at the beginning, but once you get into the car and you start learning, it'll just come to you.
Yeah, no, those are all great tips, and at the end of the day, the more info you have, you can at least play around with it and try it, and then getting that seat time to really finish it out is great. But no, you're a real, I don't want to say like a grassroots driver in this league, but we've literally seen you grow from fighting to get into being where you are now. But that goes into the next question in the regards to tracks. You might not have raced all these tracks yet since you're still relatively new to iRacing. But what are your favorite and your least favorite tracks to drive in the sim? And it does not have to be next gen. It could be any car or track combo.
Gotta say, my favorite of all time, Kansas and the trucks. Just slinging that top. When you have to make the bottom work, you can make the bottom work. The sliders, blocking with just the air, especially with the new update. The air, just be able to manipulate the air from the race lead at Kansas with the trucks is just so much fun. Another close one is definitely Talladega with the trucks again, because I love the trucks. That's my thing. I run 2 truck leagues. And I try to race the trucks as much as I can. It's the only car I could jump into and I could be fast after my second race. So they're really a good forgiving a car. Combo I hate the worst. Any combo that I hate the worst. Anything that is straight concrete, besides Dover. Nashville, hate it.
Bristol,
hate it. Bristol, I just hate it because there's not really that much grip. It feels like, and you hit throttle 10% harder, you're spinning. You don't hold the wheel right, you're spinning, and it's not very forgiving, which is, you kind of need those tracks because you gotta learn, but not when you're just starting out. I hated them. And then sometimes some road courses just, get them out of here. Like, I'm not ready for Red Bull. Like, I don't
Yeah,
even
we'll
want
see how that goes.
to do that.
Oh, Red Bull's gonna be so fun. I'm so excited for that one.
It's gonna be something,
I can't
especially
be
when we have 40 cars.
I'm gonna be running in third gear the whole time. I'm just gonna be running high gear. I'm not even gonna care. Just gonna try to go for broke.
It'll definitely be interesting. That's coming up in I think 5 or 6 weeks from now, so we'll see that. But into your car number, your car number 51. Why did you choose 51?
When I started playing football, I started playing when I was 6 years old when I moved to Lake Placid, and my numbers fluctuated from 33 to 21, and then once I was like 8 or 9, like 51 just got onto me. I think it was from the Pouncey brothers, Mike Pouncey, with the Dolphins, because I'm a big Dolphins fan. And when I saw him, and he played center, and that's where I played center. I played center and kicker and DN, and just 51 just stuck with me every year. And I got to middle school, 51. High school, my freshman year on varsity it was 72, but on JV it was 51 because they had the 6-quarter rule, which they added in. So I would fluctuate between both numbers, but once I got straight varsity, it was 51 all the way, and that's just been my number. I have my chain in my room, actually. It's the 51.
A 51 chain?
Yeah.
You got a win chain.
This guy.
Wow.
Hey, man.
You got to post a picture of that you wearing that in the Discord.
Oh, yeah, when I find it. I think it's hanging up somewhere, but it might be at my dad's house. I'm really not sure. But, yeah, I still have that, so. And then I got my rings from football and trophies, and, yeah.
That's awesome. I love to know the background behind numbers, but surprisingly, I feel like a large majority don't have a background story around their numbers, but I'm glad to hear that you do. And into my favorite question. You're on a long road trip and you stop at a gas station. What drink and what snack are you grabbing?
Pretty fat, you can see. Give me a snack. I want Reese's.
Reese's?
I want sour Skittles.
Reese's.
Reese's.
No, Reese's. It's
Reese's.
Reese's.
What is wrong
Also,
with
my
you
list
people?
doesn't help. Reese's, sour
Russell's
Skittles.
wearing a salad hat.
Yeah, literally. Like, what are you talking
Again,
about?
you can't even spell.
And then the drink, I'd want one of these monsters, the Mango Loco, and I want a Slurpee.
What flavor Slurpee?
Slurpee, it would be a Dr. Pepper and a Coca-Cola mix.
Interesting. A mix of the two? Isn't that sacrilegious?
You should have saw me when I was younger, bro. I just walk into a freaking Circle K and every drink.
Oh yeah, that's called
ice,
suicide.
Every drink. Hey, I got like this for a reason.
I'm gonna be weird here and say I don't like Slurpees.
What?
Yeah, I'm not a
They're
fan of
so
Slurpees.
You've never lived in a hot state.
I live in Georgia.
You get snow.
No, we don't.
Be real.
I live in Savannah.
What's your address?
I've also lived in Jacksonville, Florida.
Why do you not like Slurpees? I mean,
I like Slurpees.
I mean,
I
when they
don't
get
think
to the
they're that
bottom,
good.
they're really bad. The only thing I hate about Slurpees is like when you drink it too fast. It's not the brain freeze. It's when you get to the bottom and it's just ice, and it just sucks. And then you're like trying to get it. I literally had one today, and I was trying to get the ice out, and it just got me right in the face while I'm at work. And yeah.
See, that's an evolutionary defect, all right? You gotta learn that, hey, this is gonna come out my face.
No, but
Just
you
watch
pretty good at
out.
you gotta like squeeze the cup. No,
Chat,
no,
clip
you gotta
that.
Squeeze the cup.
I think I have a soundboard for
man.
this.
We are making history here at the BRB Holler
Monumental
Podcast.
activity.
Right now, we need to pause.
Changing screen. Changing screen.
Oh man, we gotta clip that one. Oh, jeez.
I just realized that looks really, really bad.
I'm gonna get that picture
Just
on the side
now.
of my car
Good
one
job.
week.
Good job. Just now.
Well,
Oh,
Zach,
no.
thank you for participating in our Sundance Pizza sit down this week. We've learned
Oh,
so much
man.
about you. No, seriously, thank you for being on here and being a part. It is good to get to know you and a little bit more. And Slurpees are good. I just wouldn't mix Dr. Pepper and Coke, but that's the true Texan in me.
A good one is the pina colada and the Mountain Dew.
Pina colada and Mountain Dew. I can see that working.
Ooh, that actually sounds really good.
That's another good one too.
Oh my goodness.
Hey, if you go into like Chick-fil-A like Instagram, like sometimes they post like drink combos. It was like the Powerade one and like the lemonade one, and it was super good.
I can imagine that being good. And for all of our 21 and up viewers, Mountain Dew, Baja Blast, and Miller Lite, tremendous
Oh.
together. I know. Just try
I
it.
don't really like beer. Like I like liquor, but I don't like beer. So. Yeah.
It's an acquired taste, but that
The
is
best alcoholic drink out there is Smirnoff Ice, green apples.
Chat.
No.
Just saying.
Mom's in
Yeah.
chat. Your mom is in chat.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Oh,
Who was it?
Yeah,
Was it
she totally saw your Slurpee dance there, buddy.
Someone's getting a phone call at the end of this podcast.
hold up. My phone's already going off. She's already texted me.
Oh
Oh
man.
goodness.
I love you, Mom. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it.
Oh God bless.
Moving on.
Moving on. If our sponsors still want to support us after this episode, we thank them. And we thank our sponsors in the order of Sundance Pizza, Butt Kicker, the leader in haptics, Idealise Ascendance Trucks, RevSimShop.com, and Advanced GG. And the promo code for 10% off of Advanced GG is WolfXLive10. It's also on the screen. That is ever rotating forever on the bottom right here. WolfX10 for 10% off your Advanced GG order, and all proceeds go directly back into the league, allowing us to run and afford the league that we have.
We have derailed.
This is a
Look at
first.
that.
This is a first.
We got the ops out here, boys.
But so that really wraps up our Butt Kicker Cup Series coverage this week, and we can get into some NASCAR news. I want to go over. I guess we kind of have to go over the championship race before we really get into anything else. Obviously, this past week, the championship race hit Phoenix, all of our favorite tracks, and that's why we're going there this week, where Joey Logano ended up becoming, I think he cemented his Hall of Fame induction with that championship. You can call it Mickey Mouse, you can call it whatever, but at the end of the day, he earned it. He definitely earned it in those last couple laps.
He
Shout out to Alex Crew Chief.
He earned it in the last couple of races. He got really lucky with the disqualification of Alex Bowman, which it was even more strange that Hendrick Motorsports did not appeal that. I thought that was very uncharacteristic of Hendrick, unless they actually had all the information. Like, yeah, no, there's no reason to. Still uncharacteristic for them. But, I mean, a lot of us were upset about that. There's a lot of I'm not a Bowman fan. I like Bowman, but I'm not a Bowman fan. I just didn't want to see Logano in there.
I see that 48 flag behind you.
Take that down. But he did get lucky getting into the the round of 8. From there, that's where he showed up. He performed. He did what he needed to do. So you can't take away those two races from him, the Vegas and Phoenix. You can't take those away from him because he did what he needed to do. But he did get a little bit of luck there going into the round of 8.
He did, and he didn't have the speed all year. I know a lot of the argument is it's the worst average finish for a whole season by a NASCAR Cup champion in NASCAR history.
Average of 17.1, wasn't it?
Correct. and
It's 15.7.
it was in the
No,
17s.
it was 17. It was 17 something.
What?
To be fair, the best average finish was, I believe it was Chase Elliott this year, and it was somewhere around 12 or 13, in that range. I don't have the exact number up. It wasn't anything vastly different. Back in the 2000s, it wouldn't be surprising to see someone with a full season average finish of 4, 5, or 6. Absolute domination. It's not like that anymore because of the parity in NASCAR and the emphasis on stage points and just wins. It's wins or nothing.
As we see what just happened in our points.
Yeah, exactly. And I can go on record of saying I think our points are a better way to crown a champion than the current NASCAR format. It's more of the deserving driver for the whole season, and I'm not saying that Logano did not deserve it. He played by the rules that are there, and he won it the right way, but he did not have the speed that some other guys had all season. But that does not mean he's less of a champion than anyone in the past.
You know, you say didn't deserve it, played by the rules, but also Penske didn't have speed. The entire team didn't have speed all season. So yes, in technicality, he played by the rules, but all the other teams are still racing. They're trying to put on a show for their sponsors, for their fans. Like, that's what NASCAR still wants these drivers to do, because that's what we kind of expect them to do. And I don't think it was necessarily they played by the rules and that's how they got in kind of thing. It's like they got the win, they got in. You know, on what track was that they won on? The fuel was Richmond? No, Nashville.
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, he got in on the fuel. He won the race on fuel or whatnot. But I don't think it was hey, we got the win, let's just chill the rest of the season. They didn't have speed. None of them did. So, I mean, you having Ryan Blaney and Logano in the Final Four still, like, Blaney was still phenomenal there in the playoffs. He always is. But Logano still was very subpar until he just squeaked in on the disqualification for a moment, and then he finally showed up. I mean, I can't say that I'm disappointed in it because, I mean, I know I like saying bringing it, it's like it's a lot of other sports playoffs, and then people just try to do the argument. It's like, well, it's not other sports. It's like, I get that, but it's the playoffs the way that it is the same concept, the way they do the playoffs. So it's like, I mean, you've seen low-tier football teams go and beat undefeated Patriots and win the Super Bowl, the Giants. You know, it happens. It's going to happen, and that's the way NASCAR is right now. And to me, I know a lot of people don't like it. I love the playoffs. I don't care. Like, I love an underdog coming in, squeaking in without a disqualification of another driver and being able to compete and win a championship. I like that factor. I mean, the rules are different. You can't look back and say it's like, oh, well, these championships back then were, you know, way more deserving. It's like, yeah, but they have to race different. They're not racing like they did in the 2000s. The teams are taking a completely different stance. Some of them are focusing on stage points. Some of them focusing on the win. Like, it's different strategies from different teams to get into these playoffs, and that's how it has to be played now, and that's what they're doing. So, to me, I like it. I like the drama that it brings. I love the storylines, and it makes people still watch. I don't see any of us not watching NASCAR anymore. So, and I think that's the best way to protest. If you don't like something, stop watching it.
And at the end of the day, like, NASCAR fans are not going to stop watching it because at the end of the day, NASCAR is unlike any other sport. And I don't think we can bring it into the discussion of oh, another sport does this, so we're going to try to mimic that. I think the biggest problem with the current playoff format is I don't like the playoffs in general, but it's a one race winner take all. I think that's the biggest problem, and it stays at the same track every year. So you have a team like Penske who's won all 3 next-gen championships. They can just focus on Phoenix. Literally get a lucky win during the regular season and then focus on Phoenix, basically. If you make the Final Four, then you can win that race and easily become the champion.
Well, I mean, it didn't even come down to a lucky win. It was a lucky disqualification of another competitor.
There was
like,
that
it didn't
too,
even come down
and
to
then
a
a strategy win at Vegas, though, put him into the Final Four. Not lucky. It was a strategy win. Like,
This can also be argued as like the fuel race championship because he won on fuel at Nashville to get him into the playoffs. Then he won on fuel at Vegas to get him in the Final Four. So it's almost, it could be argued that fuel strategy and quote unquote this race manipulation, whatever they do, has won these championships, not outright speed.
For sure. And I think that this format lends to a little bit more of randomness, becoming your champion. Again, I'm not taking anything away from Logano. I 100% think he deserves this championship. But look at Blaney. Those last 3 races, he finished second, first, and second. He was not your champion. In a 3-race format that I know has been going around Twitter a lot this week, a 3-race finale of 4 drivers is gaining a lot of popularity. And NASCAR has even said that they're looking into options of changing it up. I think just going back to the chase format of similar to what we have, I think that style lends more to a different like sports comparison of like it's a playoffs, it's 10 races long, but you have to perform throughout the whole thing. You can't just be Joey Logano and get a win at Vegas and then take the next 2 races off, because at the end of the day, that's what he did. I don't know where he finished at Homestead or Martinsville specifically, but I know it was not good. He did not have speed at either of those tracks. So
I think if they keep the one race, and that's just if they keep the one race championship crown, okay? The only way to make that work is you have to change that race every year. You have to. Like
100%.
This whole Phoenix every year thing, it doesn't work. It's catering to people that are good at Phoenix. That's literally what it
Homestead's
caters
a very
to.
good championship race.
So-
for.
I do like the idea of, I still don't mind the idea of the 3 races, this crown the champion thing. But what about this? Whenever the playoffs start, you carry the points through each round. There's no reset point thing. You carry each point. So you do have to be good every single week, even up to that final race.
yeah, I mean, I can get behind some of that. I think there's a lot of ways that they can go with it that would make it better. I don't think they can really make it. And again, it's not a terrible format, but I don't think they can make it much worse than it is personally. NASCAR also mentioned, it's been in the rumor mill this week, of with them potentially changing the playoff format. The championship race has gone under fire, obviously, of Phoenix. I think it's safe to say this past week was as good of a race as Phoenix could be. And it wasn't great, it was fine, but it was as good of a race Phoenix can offer. And NASCAR has said that they're looking into potential championship races at 3 tracks, being Charlotte, Darlington,
Ooh, no.
and Las Vegas. Are
Vegas
3
to
options,
Charlotte, not Darlington. Do not take that race to Darlington.
which very surprising. Of 2 of those tracks are SMI or non-NASCAR owned tracks, which is very surprising that they would give up basically the championship race for a track that they own. Tinfoil hat. Maybe it has something to do with the lawsuit and the whole monopoly thing of the championship race is always going to be a track that they own. Don't know, but yeah, that's been in the rumor mill this week, and I'm really looking forward to this offseason to see if they change it up at least a little bit. I know that they can't leave Phoenix. Like, the final race has to be at Phoenix next year. The schedule's already out, and they already have that format set. But what tweaking they do after that will be really interesting to see.
I think having Vegas and Charlotte in there is a good idea, just because weather permitting and everything else like that. But
Yeah.
what's the stat on 1.5-mile tracks in general? Consisting of the NASCAR schedule. What is it, like 65-70%?
Not anymore. Back in the
No
day,
way.
for sure. It's a lot lower now.
Well, I mean, but still, I mean, anything more than 30-40% is still large in terms of today's NASCAR with all the road courses and the short tracks, stuff like that. So really, if you end it on a 1.5-mile course, then in my opinion, you're kind of balancing the scales to say, hey, this is what we normally run, quote unquote. This is who should really kind of win the championship. So I can see that logic in my opinion because it also produces some of the more exciting racing. Charlotte and Vegas both had really good racing, three-wide racing. You could go up high, down low. Tires were a thing, and then of course with Joey winning it this season, it ended up being a fuel strategy race. So I think both of those tracks have really good potential in terms of either strategy, racecraft, stuff like that. So I think a mile and a half should be where the championship race should be held. But I see Homestead getting thrown out there, Charlotte, Vegas. How wild would it have been if Auto Club, if it weren't getting torn down, would that have been to see a championship race there?
It's a great point. And I mean, off the top of my head, feel free to correct me, but I think there's only 5.5-mile tracks now on the schedule, being Homestead, Texas, Charlotte, Vegas, Kansas. Traditional 1.5 miles, I guess you can say.
Texas is getting reconfigured more than likely also. So.
Allegedly, I've been hearing that
Allegedly.
for 6 years, though, from there.
Blow it up.
Um,
Blow it up. Blow it up.
my heart is still there, but I don't know. Like, Atlanta doesn't count anymore because it's super speedway style. But yeah, other than that, like back in the day in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, it was like Carl, you were saying 60, 65%, if not more, were like 1.5-mile-esque tracks. But it's not the same anymore. But it is, in my opinion, I feel like a lot of people's opinion, the next gen fits on those 1.5 miles really well, and it drives really well. And that's, I think, when you think of NASCAR, you think of a track like that. In my head, I think of 1.5 miles, and I think that's the most fitting place for a finale to be.
I mean, it really is. Like you said, these cars fit that style of racing very well. When we've seen the terrible showing of short track racing that the next gen has brought, like it hasn't been fantastic.
It's getting better.
It is getting better, but it still is not how it used to feel, I guess you could say. Like old NASCAR used to feel really good at short tracks. Now it's just kind of like, let's just watch a train of cars go around the track. That sounds like a lot of fun. I mean, it's short super speedway racing basically. But no, these 1.5 mile tracks, that's like a staple for NASCAR racing. It's just the racing that's produced there has been phenomenal year in, year out, no matter what track they go to, pretty much for the 1.5 miles. I mean, the cars spread out enough that you still get to see great racing everywhere you're looking for the most part. And it's not like Kyle Larson lapping 80% of the field at Bristol. Like it's still fantastic racing. The track is long enough that these cars still get really good speed out of it also. So you get not only the action, you get the speed, you still get decent wrecks. Like it's a great fit for what these cars are.
You said it perfectly. You get a little bit of everything in those kinds of races, and I think we can all agree to that. Switching gears to the Carl, what you were talking about with Kroger earlier, leaving, what's their team name? I don't even remember. GMS?
JTG Doherty?
JTG. I don't even know. They're too insignificant.
Bro.
There was some drama I don't know if y'all saw, there was some drama at Phoenix this past week with it being Stuart Haas's last race. They were trying to all get a team picture together on track, and they were looking for Ryan Preece. And Ryan Preece was already in pit road saying something about that I'm not going to be taking the picture. Josh Berry said we're not going to be doing it, 4-wide picture or whatever the case is. And then he's seen walking with Brad Keselowski in the garage, and that had been rumored that Ryan Preece would be the third car for RFK next year, and that being the Kroger sponsorship going to Ryan Preece and that team.
Wow, that would be interesting.
You know what?
I mean, to go with that, Ryan Preece did have a big Kroger backing when he was at JTG in the 37. Or was it? Yeah, he was in the 37 because I think AJ was in the 47.
Him and Busher have experience with Kroger. So there could be a lot of ties there, and that is the rumor. It's obviously not official, but it's been linked a couple months now. When Brad had been even questioned about the third charter, he still hasn't confirmed it, but a lot of charters are up in the air right now with the whole lawsuit going on, and that's a whole nother thing. I don't think we have time to get really into that.
Well, I mean, for the basicsness of it, of SHR, like 2 of those charters were supposed to go, one to 2311, the other one to Front Row Motorsports. Well, the problem now with both of them under the lawsuit to NASCAR is potentially just going to take those charters and be like, nope, they're ours now. So, I mean, I hate that this lawsuit's getting ugly, but like, if it's for the betterment of the sport and for the drivers, because we know we definitely need that. But it's all nasty. That's all I know. It's just a bad deal all around.
Yeah, I try not want to hold out really talking much about that until we get more actual stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's concrete because it's ever changing every week. I highly recommend keeping up with it because it is really interesting, but it's hard at times to know all the changes that happen each week. And man, if 2311 doesn't have charters or Front Row doesn't have charters, their drivers are technically free to go wherever they want to race, and that could be a whole nother thing that can get interesting. And we'll keep an eye out on it for the off season, these couple months leading up to Bowman Gray and then Daytona. So yeah,
The duels are gonna be crazy with no charters. If those cars have no charters, it's gonna be crazy.
yeah, it's gonna get ugly if that's the case. But
And who's to say NASCAR doesn't get aggressive and be, you know what, you guys don't want to send the charter, we're lowering the car count. All those cars get sent home.
I would hate that.
They would do it. They're
It's
they
already
have
low
monopoly.
enough.
They could do it.
36 is
If they
too
really
low.
wanted to shove it in their face, they could just be like, we're only allowing 34 cars in each race.
That it would just be silly in my head for NASCAR. But again, like I don't know. But then again, other teams might get more money, even purse money and whatnot. Again,
My other teams might sign off on it.
I sure hope not. But again, we'll keep a tab on that for the rest of the offseason and keep y'all updated as we can get it. Any other real NASCAR news we want to talk about?
I don't know. We're not going to really have a lot of NASCAR news at all.
No.
I mean, this isn't NASCAR news, but it is racing news. Penske Entertainment just announced today that they just acquired the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach ownership. So
Interesting.
Penske, yeah, it was, Carl was like, that's a really weird purchase. I was like, but Penske races in IMSA and IndyCar, and they race the same weekend at Long Beach. So now you got Penske owns Indy. Now you got Penske owning Long Beach. Like, what's
And
Penske doing?
IndyCar.
Just going to have their and IndyCar. So it was just a really interesting piece of information that I had saw today when I was scrolling the social medias.
Very interesting. And actually, one thing that just came to my mind in NASCAR State of Address, State of whatever, the Union Address, whatever they call it, that they have at the end of each season.
State of the sport.
State of the Sport Address. Thank you, Carl.
Oh, God.
They mentioned that they're also really close to another manufacturer in NASCAR. They've been saying that for a couple of years now, it seems like, though. So we don't know how close they are. We've talked previously that they were allegedly close with Honda. And there are 4 manufacturers that are in the rumor mill, and one being Honda, one being Kia, one being Nissan or Nissan, and I can't remember the 4th, but that one was just a shot in the dark rumor kind of deal. The other had some actual tangible evidence or statements to back it up. And it does seem like Honda is the closest. However, Honda has been on record saying we're not making an 8-cylinder engine. We're only going to make a V6, and we got to figure it out, V6 turbos or whatever the case is. And that goes back to, I think it was Martin Truex Jr. had a torque sensor on his car. Was it Richmond or something like that earlier in the season when they were doing tire testing. And it's been linked to potentially being something along those lines of matching torque and matching horsepower output to a V6 turbo. That's an interesting scenario, but we'll see. That's still going to be a couple years down the pipeline, even if Honda is announced.
Well, funny. I see, Steven, you're trying to hold back a laugh or a chuckle about this, but this is actually some serious racing technology that's being implemented in the WEC in IMSA, and I think Richard is also familiar with this. Is especially in the
also.
GTP. yeah, also IndyCar because they're going to the hybrid. But I can speak specifically on IMSA in the Watkins Glen race. There was a torque sensor issue, and it wasn't reading properly, so they actually had to spend a couple penalties and get that fixed. And that's also kind of the cost of the balance of performance amongst that class. Where GTP, you have V8s normally aspirated, you have V6s that are turbocharged, and they're all running in the same class. I think if NASCAR is to survive, they need to adapt, and if that means say, hey, it doesn't matter how you get the power down. This is how much power you can output per kilowatt hour or whatever. If that's how you need to manage it, then I think it needs to change. So I think this also could possibly be in that direction. Say, hey, our balance of performance is going to be a little more broader, not necessarily say, hey, you now have the V8 of a small block, 5.2 liters or whatever. It's instead of, okay, you can only output this much torque, this much horsepower out per, whatever. I think that's where it could be possibly headed with this testing, with some of these specifications.
And that's a great point, considering that there had been talks of NASCAR looking into hybrid powertrain options in the future. They don't want to do electric in Cup, but hybrid is an option to I guess give more power, give the people what they want, without increasing cost of engine production, which seems like what they keep quoting.
Like for the GTP and even for IndyCar, the hybrid system, it's the only time it's really utilized is during their initial takeoff from pits from a stop. So that's really the only time that the natural aspirated engine or the combustion engine itself isn't really being used, is when they're at low speeds. So for the most part, it's still running on a high powered engine. Just the hybrid power kicks in to kind of get the car moving, and then it kicks the power of the combustion engine in.
Well, I mean, can you imagine something like that at, say, Martinsville or Richmond or North Wilkesboro?
It just gets since quiet in the turns, like, dude.
Yeah, exactly. But can you imagine that also kind of torque output? Say, hey, I'm not going to engage my internal combustion engine until, say, a quarter down the way of the straightaway, as you're letting the electric take over. Can you imagine the adjustments that the crew chiefs would need to make with the tires and the suspension? Say, hey, I need maximum grip and not burn up my tires at the same time. That'd just be one more angle that they would get to play on. I'm curious. I would like to see it happen, but I think there's a lot of steps until that time comes.
Yeah, that's major theory crafting right there also.
Exactly.
It's theory crafting, and it's at best a couple of years down the pipeline for now. We've got what we got, and those big changes take a long time to come to fruition. But I think that wraps up really everything NASCAR I have. Unfortunately, the NASCAR news is going to get a little bit bleak here in the coming weeks and months, but we'll have plenty of news and drama, I'm sure, from the Butt Kicker Cup Series to cover each week. That will hold us over until then. Before we wrap it up for the night, I do want to get to our third RevSimShop.com question of the night. And Eric, all the pressure's on, is all I'm going to say. The precedent has been set with Brendan saying he's going to get you a paint. If you go 10 for 10 on the first 10, and time to put your money where your mouth is here. So our third question for the evening is, Jimmy Johnson won 83 Cup Series races in his career. How many of those victories came in playoff races? And your 30 seconds will begin now.
Wow, that's... I don't even think I could answer that one. That's wild.
I think I got something for this.
Bringing out the numbers, bringing out the
There's
calculator.
no 19.
Well,
out
hold
there.
on. We also have the professional statistician with us in the podcast.
That is true.
Carl, your hat will not go 3 for 3.
All right, let's
Sorry.
see. You know, I wonder if Eric...
I know, it doesn't count this time, right?
Eric, are you Googling?
There could be a chance.
All right, you got 5 more seconds. I'm going to give 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Answers
got
are
4 answers
locked
in.
in. We got
Eric's a
29,
total guess.
22, 22, 29. Yeah, this one I figured is going to be a total guess. No one's going to know this off the top of their head. Sorry, but without further ado, I'm going to keep the suspense to a minimum.
Ooh.
And the correct
29.
answer is 29.
I would have been wrong. I would have
Hey,
been wrong.
there's a 9 on Carl's hat.
I'm
There's a 9
sorry,
on Carl's
Eric.
hat.
There's a 9 on Carl's hat, and he
I
gave
think
it up
9 is just a
again.
theme
Number
tonight.
3.
Yes,
Hey,
chase
Carl's hat
races
did
are
have a
considered playoff races.
Hey, you
in
know
this
what?
question.
You can blame this on Ashley because she, at the very beginning of the podcast, she messaged me like, you know what? Everyone has a hat but you. It's bothering me. And I said, okay, give me my hat. And so she got me my hat.
Carl, you know that me and Steven always wear a hat.
I do, and you know, unfortunately, no one gets to see how glorious my mane is here,
Yeah,
but it's
see-
actually quite fantastical.
I'm good.
See, yeah, look at Zach King there. He is our Gavin Rogers.
Gavin
Oh, goodness
See?
gracious.
All right, your turn, Richard.
Man,
Your
Florida
turn.
Man Rogers. I already showed my hair. What are you talking about?
Come on, Steven.
Not
Take the
happening.
salad off.
Not happening.
Show the salad. We need the actual salad, not the hat salad.
I'm waiting to get a haircut before Thanksgiving before I do anything without a hat. Hat's just in my nature. Richard, I don't want to see that face.
Just King is
Actually,
so young, and I
so
think some of the things he
about-
says, he doesn't realize what he's saying.
Oh,
Wait,
okay.
what do I do now?
Nothing, don't
worry
Slurpee
about it.
dance.
Keep your
Remember the
innocence.
Slurpee dance.
Oh my god.
Before-
So funny story about haircuts. I haven't had a haircut in almost over a year and a half now, and my hair is pretty long.
What?
I'm doing a mullet.
That is the
Dude.
thing with the Gen Z iPad generation.
Wow.
Oh, dude. Within 6
Dude, it
months,
doesn't
I have a
look
whole freaking thing going. It is
Well,
nuts.
see, I'm not gonna do it, but I'm also my hairline is receding, so got the bad seams.
At
I mean-
19?
How many people are watching this? You know what? Whatever.
12.
We have 14. Oh, hey, Richard, there you go.
You got a new
We
friend,
have a
Richard.
Kevin plus Richard Wolsifer
Oh,
doppelganger
do you guys
over
know
here.
my middle name? Oh, you don't know my middle name.
It's Richard, isn't it? Oh, man. We have learned so many great nuggets tonight.
Hey, I told you it'd be fun to have me on the podcast. You just
You
This is
weren't wrong.
fantastic.
You just had
It's
to
been a
wait
full
for the right
regret, that's
moment.
for sure.
Had to wait for the right moment.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. When I got the text message, I really like when I won. I was like, hold on.
Okay,
I might be
whoa,
on the
whoa, whoa,
podcast.
hold up. I did not text you. I do not have your phone number. It was a Discord PM. Just want to set the facts
Same
straight.
thing, bro. Discord text message is the same thing. But when I got the message and it was asking me, I was like, at first I was like, is he joking? Is he like messing with me? Because I know your personality now, bro. It's like, don't mess with somebody. And I was like, I don't know if he's messing with me. And then I was like thinking about it. I was like, nah, maybe he actually isn't asking me. And I'm like, okay, cool, let's do it. And then I was like super nervous. And then I was like, you know what? It's fine. It's fine. And then I was like super nervous again. And then I was like, it's fine. So like many mixed emotions in the last 48 hours.
Well, I will say it was just a perfect timing, and I would not joke about that to anybody. If I come across you and I send you a PM, not a text message, asking you to be on the podcast, it is a serious question. Undoubtedly, unequivocally. But then you were obviously very excited about it and joined the call. I saw at least an hour and a half or 2 hours before, if not earlier. 6 full hours before.
Yeah. Dude,
Well,
like,
well,
literally
let's
had
be
He
real
was
here,
nothing
like,
going
so
on today.
unprepared for
Okay,
tonight. It's
but listen,
unreal.
But listen, the first 3 hours was setting up to make sure I had a good quality setup. Like if you
That's
guys,
fair.
I don't know if I've shown it yet. I have a green screen behind me, and I'm at my friend's house.
Oh, you're not at Atlanta Motor Speedway?
No, I'm at I have a green screen. So like, yeah. So it did take a little while. We had to set the lights, cause like I went over to his house, cause my house is a little crazy and hectic. So I was like, I'm just gonna come here, do the stream, and I'm gonna go home, go back to sleep, go to work. But yeah, so.
Well, we appreciate you putting in all the extra work to get the setup there, and it looks better than any of our setups, I would say, honestly. The only one that can compete with that, I think, is Rev. Rev has a great streaming setup, and not to discount you, Richard. Your setup's lovely. Your new painted
In
walls
progress.
are lovely. Yes.
It's a work in
Hey, he
progress.
finished it
Still.
today. He finished the wall today.
Oh, I finished the wall. I still got some touch-ups to do, but I've got lights and
Oh, yeah, I can
panels
see.
and pictures and stuff to put up. No, you can't. Shut up.
Right next to that Alex Bowman flag.
It's still up there. Crap. Dakota
Steven,
Black, I
what
need to
is-
send it to you.
Yo, that was crazy. What did anybody hear what Dakota said after the race?
No. I guess
He was
not.
like, he finally leaves all his dead weight and his teammates, and
Oh.
finally wins. He like took a shot at himself. He took a shot at him, Evan, and Bottoms. I don't know if Bottoms was actually on our team, but I think he was like affiliated with us.
Man,
But yeah, he said that. I was like,
I love
oh,
Dakota.
I didn't hear it at first, but he was like taking a shot at his teammates, and I was like, oh shit.
Dakota is one of the most genuine, funny people that we have around, and absolutely loves digging on himself or at himself any chance he
He's the class
gets.
clown. We all had to
Yes,
go to school again. He's the class clown.
I would
I
agree.
think yeah, Adam the popular kid. Yeah.
I mean, he did
You
win
go on
most
and on.
popular driver last season for a reason.
Oh, I don't know if you can put it in the stream, but you need to put what Nick said after the race. That was comical.
We cannot put it
Who was
in
he?
this
Nope.
podcast.
Mm.
If you're a
Yo,
member of the
nope.
That is
Discord,
radio sweetheart. If it's not, I will riot. I
it
will
might be in the
literally riot.
TikTok at some point during the season, but it's not going to be in the podcast, unfortunately.
Not podcast appropriate.
That's not podcast.
That was
Yeah.
hilarious, bro.
But yeah, I highly recommend if you're in the Discord to go look at it. I think it was in the hauler on
Nope,
Tuesday
it was
night.
in general.
posted the
It was in
video.
general.
Well, even better, so everyone can see it. But
Yeah, I got a video of it. That was pretty hilarious.
yeah. So I think that wraps us up for tonight. But want to give a quick shout out to again all of our sponsors, Sundance Pizza of Wickenburg, Arizona. If you're ever in the Phoenix area, take a little drive out to Wickenburg and try them out. They're a huge supporter of ours. Butt Kicker, the leader in haptics, Ascendance Trucks, Ideal Lease, RevSimShop.com, and Advanced GG. And again, that promo code for Advanced GG, 10% off, is WolfXLive10, and all proceeds go directly back into the league. Also want to give a quick shout out to Maddox Graphics for sponsoring the upcoming BRB bonus brawl that we will get started here in a couple weeks, I believe. Kansas?
Week 4.
Week
at
4.
Kansas.
So yes, stay tuned for that. That will be coming before we know it. And yeah, for the latest news on the BRB Racing League, be sure to like and follow our social pages on Facebook, X, and TikTok. If you're interested in joining the BRB Racing League as a driver, please visit our page on Facebook, and our link to our Discord channel is in our bio. The roster is currently full, but you are still welcome to join the Discord and hang around and get to know everybody. Be sure to like and share the podcast. Is appreciated, all of it. And next Tuesday night, 9 p.m., we are at Phoenix for the Sundance Pizza 175. We'll keep y'all updated on a broadcast of sorts situation as we get that information down. Zach, thank you for being our guest this week. It was awesome having you on. Congrats again on that win. Very well deserved, and great to see where you started and where you're at now. Carl, Richard, thank you guys for being here and dealing with me being late and driving into a field and getting pulled over by a police officer. And
Your wife hitting the house.
and my wife not liking our house, apparently. But no, thank you
Thank
guys
you
again
again.
for being here. Thank you all viewers. And we'll catch y'all next Tuesday and the next Thursday.
Wait.
Oh, thank goodness.
Almost got out of it.
What am I missing?
You'll find out.
Oh no.
Once Steven looks at the camera, Carl start.
Buckle it up.
Buckle it up.
Buckle it up.
Or you'll die.
die.
Good night, everyone. We'll catch y'all next week. Maybe.
Oh God, Steven.